Hey everybody, how you doing today?
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Hello.
Hey, everyone doing okay?
Yes.
Yes,
How
sir.
about, how about yourself, sir?
Yeah, just waiting for this rain to stop. It's a little overbearing.
Yeah, we needed it in the first part when it first started coming, but now I'm right here by a creek and it's starting to get kind of scary, so it needs to slow down.
Yeah, it's we're uh we're a real sandy soil, so we're lucky that we don't get a lot of standing water, but in places where it doesn't drain really well, we have quite a bit of little ponding or whatever you call it, pooling ponding, which is unusual for here. But my brother-in-law lives in Montana, and they're in the middle of the greatest drought in their history, even more than the Dust Bowl of the 30s. And the people who raise cattle and sheep are unable to. There's no grass growing, and their hay is hasn't had a chance to grow, so they're actually starting to kill their livestock a little bit each day because they have no way to feed them and no way to process them. Um, so it's pretty much a disaster. He said you're going to be hearing a lot about this in the next couple of months as it becomes worse out there. But in Montana, particularly eastern Montana, um, it's kind of a high desert kind of area, and it's traditionally been a place for cattle. And there's no grass, and there's no hay to feed them. So it's a real scary time for those guys. They have so about 20 miles from him, 25 miles north of him, there are 10 wildfires, with two of them so big they have their own weather, and they don't know how they're going to be able to stop them because the area uh, it's full of trees that were killed by beetles in the last 5 years. So it's really dry, really ready to burn, unfortunately. So it was pretty crazy listening to him last night. I was like, wow, I'm glad I don't live there. But it's true in Oregon, it's true in Washington, California, Arizona,
Colorado too,
Colorado.
right?
Yeah. I don't know if all of Colorado or just the western part. I'm not 100% sure, but
I know
he
there.
where he lives is he lives at about 7,000 feet. And yesterday it was 97 degrees at his place. Uh,
Mm,
he said he's never really been above about 85 in all the years that he lived there. And now he's had 10 days in a row over 90, and yesterday was 97. So kind of crazy. All right. Well, we got a couple more minutes here, and I see John showed up. Hey, John, how are you?
Doing good, Dennis.
All right. Glad you could make it.
Thank you.
We'll probably have you teach the class, though. I think you know a lot.
I wouldn't say that.
I don't know. Your live streaming show I never miss. And I
Well,
actually bought
thank you.
pork rinds and sent them to my brother-in-law, and now he's bugging me for more.
We've got plenty.
Yeah, he I personally can't eat them. I just I'm a Yankee, I admit it. I just can't deal with that, but he loves them. So so I understand that uh, let's see. I don't think yesterday, correct me if I'm wrong, is it Keim, Keim, Keim? How do I pronounce that?
Time. It is.
Hello?
It is.
Keim, I can't hear you, unfortunately. Okay. Well, we'll figure out, I just don't remember kind from yesterday in terms of which company. Um, Time is correct. Okay, good. All right. Okay. Opal's candles, great. Candies, Opal's candies. Thank you, Con, appreciate it. I don't think you were on there yesterday. Hopefully we'll be able, this week's going to be kind of catch as catch can when people are able to, to come. I know it takes a little getting used to. Also remember that these are recorded, and generally speaking, they're available on our YouTube channel. I think right away, I haven't really tested that. Maybe Grant could comment on that, but I believe they're ready pretty quickly after the class if you want to watch them on YouTube. Is that right, Grant?
Yeah, I believe so. When it says live on YouTube, I'm pretty sure that's how it works, but sometimes it just records to Zoom, and
Okay.
then I have to upload it. So
Okay. One way or the other, we'll make the classes available to you. And we also, as it happens, if you're really bored and really having a hard time sleeping, you can go back and look at classes from when we started. And there's some pretty interesting speakers. You might find some of the subjects of interest to you, may be helpful to you. So you're also certainly welcome to go back to any of those. We have the CEO of Etsy, had CEO of Burt's Bees. We've had a number of interesting speakers. We had a guy who's really good about selling your products overseas, China, the UK. And some of them will be making a return appearance here, but just be aware that those resources are available to you on there. So, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started, I think. Thanks everybody for coming. And Grant, if you'll keep an eye as more folks come, that'd be great. And today we're going to talk about something that I think is pretty important. Hopefully you will also. We chatted a little bit yesterday about this whole idea of a startup business or why you started a business. Lots of times it's framed as somebody has an idea. What's a great business idea? And there's always a discussion, particularly if somebody has a good business idea, there's always this concern that someone's going to steal that idea, or, you won't be able to keep that, for yourself, that someone else is going to grab it and run with it. And, I've been involved in venture capital, raising venture capital, and I've seen entrepreneurs ask venture capitals guys and men and women to sign non-competes because they're worried that if they meet with the venture capital person, that person will steal their idea and give it to someone else. And I just want to say, it's just not true. It isn't something to me that's relevant. I have never known an investor who would willingly sign one of those, no matter what the idea is. So that's something to be aware of. And I think what we're going to talk about today, and we're going to get into more in depth, is kind of next level. It's much more about why are you doing this? Why are you doing this business or a business? What is the reason behind it? And oftentimes, as you explore the why, you'll arrive at the what, right? So you've come up with kind of your own heart and soul about what you want to do, and then you're going to match up that with a problem that the market has, that your idea, your solution, your why can actually help. And I think also, without beating a dead horse, the other thing is that starting something and running a business, I don't have to tell any of you, particularly those of you who've been doing this for a long time, it's not easy. It's hard. This is a hard thing to do. And lots of weird stuff happens, some of which you couldn't possibly imagine that it would happen. You're just like, what? How is this? Why is this happening to me? So, I think that this idea that everything is kind of linear, a straight line, you start your business, you grow it, you make lots of money, and then maybe you sell it or retire or whatever. It's just bullshit. It just doesn't work like that. And I'm sure many of you on here will agree with me on that one. So the other thing you'll find, particularly if you go back and look at some of the guest speakers or the ones that you're going to meet through this process, as even though many of them actually don't even know each other in many cases, they're not, or they're just acquaintances, they don't really know each other that well. You'll be amazed at how consistent their message is about the why and how that really correlates no matter what, if it's a giant international company or it's even a small local company. So with that, I'm going to share my screen with many people consider kind of the leader in this space. See if I can find it here with any luck. Just hold on one second. Okay. And we'll have Simon Sinek. I don't know if you all are familiar with him or not. Just real quick, he is or was an advertising executive, I believe in London, who, he basically worked with an ad agency and helped brands, do their ads and do their marketing and all that kind of thing. And he decided kind of off the cuff that he would talk about what he really thinks, him personally, not his company, what needs to be considered by somebody starting a business or running a business. And what's interesting about this is he chose a venue which was really just a local TEDx event. It wasn't the main TED event. It was a local, I believe in Portland, Oregon. I'm not 100% sure about that. But he gave his talk in 2009. And that has led to a career as probably the most sought after speaker on business in the world today. If he's not, he's certainly one of them. So we're going to see the original talk that he gave, which I think really sets the tone. He's turned it into almost an industry of how you do this, how you go about identifying your why and all of the things that are associated with that. So with that, it's not a real long video. It's about 18 minutes long, but I think you'll enjoy it. And so I'm going to go ahead and give it a start. Let me know if everybody.
How do you explain when things don't go as we assume? Or better, how do you explain when others are able to achieve things that seem to defy all of the assumptions? For example, why is Apple so innovative? Year after year after year after year, they're more innovative than all their competition. And yet they're just a computer company. They're just like everyone else. They have the same access to the same talent, the same agencies, the same consultants, the same media. Then why is it that they seem to have something different? Why is it that Martin Luther King led the civil rights movement? He wasn't the only man who suffered in a pre-civil rights America, and he certainly wasn't the only great orator of the day. Why him? And why is it that the Wright brothers were able to figure out controlled powered manned flight when there were certainly other teams who were better qualified, better funded, and they didn't achieve powered manned flight, and the Wright brothers beat them to it? There's something else at play here. About 3.5 years ago, I made a discovery, and this discovery profoundly changed my view on how I thought the world worked, and it even profoundly changed the way in which I operate in it. As it turns out, there's a pattern. As it turns out, all the great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do, 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You ready to buy a computer from me? All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat screen TVs. They've been making flat screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. And Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products, and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. Here's the best part. None of what I'm telling you is my opinion. It's all grounded in the tenets of biology, not psychology, biology. If you look at a cross-section of the human brain, looking from the top down, what you see is the human brain is actually broken into three major components that correlate perfectly with the golden circle. Our newest brain, our Homo sapien brain, our neocortex, corresponds with the what level. The neocortex is responsible for all of our rational and analytical thought and language. The middle two sections make up our limbic brains, and our limbic brains are responsible for all of our feelings, like trust and loyalty. It's also responsible for all human behavior, all decision-making, and it has no capacity for language. In other words, when we communicate from the outside in, yes, people can understand vast amounts of complicated information like features and benefits and facts and figures. It just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we're talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we allow people to rationalize it with the tangible things we say and do. This is where gut decisions come from. Sometimes you can give somebody all the facts and your figures, and they say, I know what all the facts and details say, but it just doesn't feel right. Why would we use that verb? It doesn't feel right, because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. And the best we can muster up is, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Or sometimes you say you're leading with your heart, or you're leading with your soul. Well, I hate to break it to you, those aren't other body parts controlling your behavior. It's all happening here in your limbic brain, the part of the brain that controls decision-making and not language. But if you don't know why you do what you do, and people respond to why you do what you do, then how will you ever get people to vote for you or buy something from you, or more importantly, be loyal and want to be a part of what it is that you do? Again, the goal is not just to sell people who need what you have. The goal is to sell to people who believe what you believe. The goal is not just to hire people who need a job. It's to hire people who believe what you believe. I always say that, there's if you hire people just because they can do a job, they'll work for your money. But if you hire people who believe what you believe, they work for you with blood and sweat and tears. And nowhere else is there a better example of this than with the Wright brothers. Most people don't know about Samuel Pierpont Langley. And back in the early 20th century, the pursuit of powered man flight was like the .com of the day. Everybody was trying it. And Samuel Pierpont Langley had what we assume to be the recipe for success. I mean, even now, you ask people, why did your product or why did your company fail? And people always give you the same permutation of the same three things. Undercapitalized, the wrong people, bad market conditions. It's always the same three things. So let's explore that. Samuel Pierpont Langley was given $50,000 by the War Department to figure out this flying machine. Money was no problem. He held a seat at Harvard and worked at the Smithsonian and was extremely well connected. He knew all the big minds of the day. He hired the best minds money could find, and the market conditions were fantastic. The New York Times followed him around everywhere, and everyone was rooting for Langley. And how come we've never heard of Samuel Pierpont Langley? A few hundred miles away in Dayton, Ohio, Orville and Wilbur Wright. They had none of what we consider to be the recipe for success. They had no money. They paid for their dream with the proceeds from their bicycle shop. Not a single person on the Wright brothers' team had a college education, not even Orville or Wilbur. And the New York Times followed them around nowhere. The difference was Orville and Wilbur were driven by a cause, by a purpose, by a belief. They believed that if they could figure out this flying machine, it'll change the course of the world. Samuel Pierpont Langley was different. He wanted to be rich, and he wanted to be famous. He was in pursuit of the result. He was in pursuit of the riches. And lo and behold, look what happened. The people who believed in the Wright brothers' dream worked with them with blood and sweat and tears. The others just worked for the paycheck. And they tell stories of how every time the Wright brothers went out, they would have to take 5 sets of parts because that's how many times they would crash before they came in for supper. And eventually, on December 17th, 1903, the Wright brothers took flight. And no one was there to even experience it. We found out about it a few days later. And further proof that Langley was motivated by the wrong thing, the day the Wright brothers took flight, he quit. He could have said, that's an amazing discovery, guys. Now we'll improve upon your technology. But he didn't. He wasn't first. He didn't get rich. He didn't get famous. So he quit. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And if you talk about what you believe, you will attract those who believe what you believe. Well, why is it important to attract those who believe what you believe? Something called the law of diffusion of innovation. And if you don't know the law, you definitely know the terminology. The first 2.5% of our population are our innovators. The next 13.5% of our population are our early adopters. The next 34% are your early majority, your late majority, and your laggards. The only reason these people buy touch-tone phones is because you can't buy rotary phones anymore. We all sit at various places at various times on the scale, but what the law of diffusion of innovation tells us is that if you want mass market success or mass market acceptance of an idea, you cannot have it until you achieve this tipping point between 15 and 18% market penetration, and then the system tips. And I love asking businesses, what's your conversion on new business? And they love to tell you, oh, it's about 10%, proudly. Well, you can trip over 10% of the customers. We all have about 10% who just get it. That's how we describe them, right? That's like that gut feeling, oh, they just get it. The problem is, how do you find the ones that just get it before you're doing business with them versus the ones who don't get it? So it's this here, this little gap, that you have to close, as Geoffrey Moore calls it, crossing the chasm. Because you see, the early majority will not try something until someone else has tried it first. And these guys, the innovators and the early adopters, they're comfortable making those gut decisions. They're more comfortable making those intuitive decisions that are driven by what they believe about the world, and not just what product is available. These are the people who stood online for 6 hours to buy an iPhone when they first came out, when you could have just walked into the store the next week and bought one off the shelf. These are the people who spent $40,000 on flat screen TVs when they first came out, even though the technology was substandard. And by the way, they didn't do it because the technology was so great. They did it for themselves. It's because they wanted to be first. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And what you do simply proves what you believe. In fact, people will do the things that prove what they believe. The reason that person bought the iPhone in the first 6 hours, or stood in line for 6 hours, was because of what they believed about the world and how they wanted everybody to see them. They were first. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So let me give you a famous example, a famous failure and a famous success of the law of diffusion of innovation. First, the famous failure. It's a commercial example. As we said before a second ago, the recipe for success is money and the right people and the right marketing conditions, right? You should have success then. Look at TiVo. From the time TiVo came out about 8 or 9 years ago to this current day, they are the single highest quality product on the market. Hands down, there is no dispute. They were extremely well funded. Market conditions were fantastic. I mean, we use TiVo as a verb. I like TiVo stuff on my piece of junk Time Warner DVR all the time. But TiVo is a commercial failure. They've never made money. And when they went IPO, their stock was at about $30 or $40 and then plummeted, and it's never traded above 10. In fact, I don't think it's even traded above 6, except for a couple of little spikes. Because you see, when TiVo launched their product, they told us all what they had. They said, we have a product that pauses live TV, skips commercials, rewinds live TV, and memorizes your viewing habits without you even asking. And the cynical majority said, we don't believe you, we don't need it, we don't like it, you're scaring us. What if they had said, if you're the kind of person who likes to have total control over every aspect of your life, boy, do we have a product for you. It pauses live TV, skips commercials, memorizes your viewing habits, etc., etc. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, and what you do simply serves as the proof of what you believe. Now let me give you a successful example of the law of diffusion of innovation. In the summer of 1963, 250,000 people showed up on the Mall in Washington to hear Dr. King speak. They sent out no invitations, and there was no website to check the date. How do you do that? Well, Dr. King wasn't the only man in America who was a great orator. He wasn't the only man in America who suffered in a pre-civil rights America. In fact, some of his ideas were bad, but he had a gift. He didn't go around telling people what needed to change in America. He went around and told people what he believed. I believe, I believe, I believe, he told people. And people who believed what he believed took his cause and they made it their own, and they told people. And some of those people created structures to get the word out to even more people. And lo and behold, 250,000 people showed up on the right day, on the right time to hear him speak. How many of them showed up for him? 0. They showed up for themselves. It's what they believed about America that got them to travel on a bus for 8 hours to stand in the sun in Washington in the middle of August. It's what they believed, and it wasn't about black versus white. 25% of the audience was white. Dr. King believed that there were 2 types of laws in this world, those that are made by a higher authority and those that are made by man. And not until all the laws that are made by man are consistent with the laws that are made by the higher authority, will we live in a just world? It just so happens that the civil rights movement was the perfect thing to help him bring his cause to life. We followed him not for him, but for ourselves. And by the way, he gave the I have a dream speech, not the I have a plan speech. Listen to politicians now with their comprehensive 12-point plans. They're not inspiring anybody. Because there are leaders and there are those who lead. Leaders hold a position of power or authority, but those who lead inspire us. Whether they're individuals or organizations, we follow those who lead not because we have to, but because we want to. We follow those who lead not for them, but for ourselves. And it's those who start with why that have the ability to inspire those around them or find others who inspire them. Thank you very much.
See if I can figure out how to turn that off now. Okay. How we do there. All right. Okay. Any reaction, thought to what we just watched?
I loved it. I thought it was really inspiring.
I agree with you. I agree with you. He's got a nice way about him. You know, he's not threatening. He's not, even though he threw some big words out there. I don't know, that whole thing, Infusion or whatever that was, that chart, a little over my head, but I do get the idea that, you know, there are tipping points, and there's been a book called Tipping Point where you get to a certain point and all of a sudden everything changes. And this is just maybe a little more narrowly applied to your own situations, your own work. But I think if you, you know, really think about why you're doing what you're doing, and if you can align that with your messaging and your brand and your, you know, that includes your graphics, your look, your website, everything about what you're doing, I think you'll see some traction that maybe it wouldn't be quite as difficult as it would be without that. Instead of being in a situation where you're selling based on price or on a commodity, you're selling based on an idea and a belief, and selling to people who want to believe what you believe. And the most powerful thing that he said, in my opinion, is those people didn't come to see Martin Luther King. They came for themselves. And that's a really important message there, I think. You know, it's things aren't always what they seem. And this whole idea of inside out versus outside in, I just encourage everybody to think about that. And I'll warn you, this is going to be a recurring theme with me. You're going to be hearing about why a lot in lots of different forms. So fair warning, I just want to let you know. I'm trying to keep up with the chat. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go through some of the folks who were not here yesterday, if we could. And let me see here. And let them talk about what they do in their business if they weren't here yesterday. And if I miss anybody, just don't be bashful. So I'm going to start. Alan, did we talk to you yesterday? I can't remember.
Yes, we talked to him yesterday.
Okay, what was your business again?
It's raw plastic.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right. Great, thank you very much. I'll only ask you like 3 or 4 more times.
that's okay.
Okay, Amy, you're next. I know you weren't here yesterday.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay, great. Hey there. I'm Amy Kirker, and I have a trading cards on e-commerce. Well, I'm on eBay now, but I'm a work in progress.
Okay, try turning off your video and see if we can hear, because the video didn't come through very well. So just try it without the video and see if we can hear you better. Try one more time.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
No, I can't see. I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, and I have AJ's cards and curations. It's a sports trading card, online e-commerce. Right now, I'm only on eBay, but I hope to expand. That's what I'm working on.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ariana, I don't know if we had you yesterday, did we?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
So, my brand is called Global Gods. It is a clothing brand based off of the Greek zodiac signs.
Oh, cool. Okay. Are you online now or are you thinking about it?
I'm in the process of getting the website and the social media up for the brand.
Oh, great. When do you think that'll be ready?
My goal is to have it done and ready to go by August.
Okay.
If everything goes well.
I understand. I know this guy, Chris. Chris, tell us what you're up to. Chris is always entertaining. I'll let you know that.
Let's see. Well, we're getting ready to start harvesting butter beans sometime this afternoon. So we'll be into that from now through October, in October.
Wow. And then you also have a store, right, in Goldsboro, a fresh market?
That's correct. We also got the downtown fresh market located at 107 North Center Street in Goldsboro. And Dennis Hayden will be joining us too. Y'all accept him, and I'm going to let him handle the market stuff. I just been too much on my plate lately. So, like I say, we'll start just,
All right, good. John Arnold. Hey, John.
Yeah, I'm here, Dennis.
All right. Tell us what you do, John.
We have a company called Cherry Orchard Foods. Started about 12 years ago. Actually started as a hobby. And we make a line of gourmet food mixes, dry ingredient mixes.
Okay. Is that a wholesale or a retail or both?
We do both. We do both wholesale and retail, primarily wholesale. We've got distributors in 41 states that we sell to. And we're really trying to increase our retail market. We do Amazon, eBay, and as you know, the live selling on Pop Shop Live.
Yeah.
And I'd made a comment there earlier after I watched the video earlier before this started, and it was good to see it again and listen to it again. I know myself, my why has changed several times over the years.
Yeah. Tell us about that. How did they change?
Well, originally my why was just to kind of a hobby. I wanted to start something that I could occupy my time with when I retired, make a little extra money. And as I got into it, then I started to develop a plan to actually help other small entrepreneurs and individuals create extra income. And that really kind of changed my why as helping myself into helping other people.
Okay, fantastic. And I'll warn everybody, John is an innovator of the highest order. He is really one of the first people extensively using live streaming e-commerce, which those of you that know me know I go on about that ad nauseum. But he's really one of the leaders in that space, and I'm going to make him explain to us some of the ins and outs of that as we go along. But I just want to warn everybody or let everybody know that there's a lot to hear from John Arnold, and I'm really pleased that you're in the class, John. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
All right, and I think the last person is Kime. If Kime can hear me, I think. Hello, Kime, are you there? Well, I think Kime's having some technical difficulties, but I think he said his business was Opal's Candies, and we'll learn more about that as we go along. Okay, so any more thoughts on the video today, or the whole idea of this kind of inside out thinking? Or do your why, then your how, then your what? Any comments on that? Okay, good. Also on here, Grant is making sure everybody knows about the Facebook group, which is hopefully a private group, secret group. I don't know if it, hopefully that's true. And we can post stuff on there and help each other. And there'll be folks coming on to Facebook every now and then. There might be a mentor, might be a guest speaker, somebody who's taken a class before and maybe wants to share something with the group. So I encourage everyone to join that. Also, I want to say that if you go to acceleraterural.org, you'll see some different resources on there. Let's see, one of them is our list of mentors. So if you click on the page, you'll see mentors as one of the categories. Just click on that and then take a look at the people who are mentoring in this class. And there may be folks on there that you either know, or after you read about what they do, you may feel that they would be helpful to you. Just let me know and I'll connect you to those folks. With the way we do mentors, it's really up to you as a class to choose who you want to be a mentor. I don't want to assign mentors because I think that's a big mistake. It's better to find someone who kind of gets what you're doing and can help you, or have resources to point you to. So I encourage everyone to take some time on that, the mentor side of the site. We also, of course, on that site, we have our calendar, so you can see what class is coming up, guest speakers, all that kind of stuff. But I'm in the process of kind of filling that out. So I think there's only about 3 weeks worth on there right now, but that will be filled up as my guest speakers respond and tell me they're able to do it and other things that we're doing. That calendar is a good place to keep up with what we're doing. And it'll always have the link to the Zoom and any information about that particular class. So that will help you, help you figure out what we're doing. Okay, so now the next thing, so that's really all I have for today. Tomorrow we're going to start on branding, and we're going to spend a fair amount of time on branding. I think you'll be surprised by some of the things that you'll learn there, and that I hope will really help you as you want to grow your business. Our objective here is to help you grow your business, and however that makes sense for you. But to me, the branding really fits in with the video from today. Let people know your why. What do you believe in? What are you doing? And the branding is not just a logo. It's not just a color. It's not just a look of a website. It's a lot more than that. And it's actually, I would argue, the most important thing you can do at this stage of your business is to make sure you have a really strong brand that people can pretty quickly determine what it is that you're doing, and hopefully they can also see why you're doing it. So that'll be tomorrow. We don't have class on Thursday. I'm actually meeting with the governor and the Secretary of Commerce. They gave me no advance notice, so I wasn't able to find anybody, to take over the class. So I apologize for that, but we'll have plenty of time to cover all the stuff that we need to cover. Also, if any of you have questions or thoughts, or you're wondering about something, don't hesitate to reach out to me or Grant, the chat or email, and we'll do everything we can to answer any question you have, concerns you have, confusion we may have caused, which is pretty common, I'll admit, so that there's no reason for you to be bashful in any way. We're all in this together, and we're able to communicate with no problem at all. So, okay, well, that's like I say, that's about all I have for today. Anyone else have anything they want to add at this point?
Just have a question.
Yeah.
So after we work on our why and, work on your branding a little bit more, is there an opportunity to chat with you, or is that where the mentors come in, or how does that work?
It really, what I used to try to talk to every single person one-on-one in the beginning, but I found that wasn't really effective because we had to wait a while till people kind of figured out what they were going to do with this information. So yes, I'm able to talk to you one-on-one. There are also these mentors that I mentioned you can take a look at. And we can get other mentors. We have actually a fair number of ECU faculty. We're part of the Miller School of Entrepreneurship. So we have a lot of resources available for you. The question is, how do we bring it to you in particular? And generally speaking, what we'll do is like a one-on-one Zoom call, where it'll be me and you and maybe another resource, another person, and we'll dig into your particular situation. We also have the ability, hopefully, I say this advisedly because some of my interns have not resurfaced from the summer, but they're supposed to be here. But we'll be able to do stuff like take a look at your website, make some changes to it, help you make some changes, give you some opinions, other things like that we'll be able to do. The intern team will be able to help you with, as well as me. So yeah, there'll be plenty of time for that. And one of the reasons we're structured the way we are is because everyone really has a different situation. So we try to do as much as one-on-one as we can.
Perfect. So we just reach out when we're ready. Is that the deal then?
Yeah,
Perfect. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
yeah. And you know, you'll meet some of the other folks as time goes on. It's just typical of summer, you know, to kind of straggle in here as we get going. But anyway, all right. Well, that's all I have then. I see some. Let me just real quick look through the chat. I see some stuff here. Patrick Robinette is saying it's great to have a genuine why, but it's frustrating when you get washed out by a fake why, by maybe a bigger company or a wealthier company. And we'll talk about that because that's a real issue, particularly in an area like you're in, Patrick, which is grass-fed beef. You know, that's a real big market, real big industry, I guess, and there's some really big players in it. So we will talk about that. All right, that's all I see. Unless I'm missing something, I'm gonna say goodbye for now, and we'll see you tomorrow on branding. Bye-bye.
Bye.